Lisa Carter stepped off the transport ship and onto Station Omega-7 for the first time. The massive space station stretched out before her like a metal city floating in the stars. Bright lights lined the corridors, and strange alien symbols covered the walls. She had never seen anything like it before. The air felt different here. It was clean and cool, but it didn't smell like home. Everything was too perfect, too sterile. Lisa gripped her small bag tighter and walked forward. Other beings moved around her, but none of them looked human. Some had blue skin and extra arms. Others floated in the air like living clouds. A few had scales that sparkled under the lights. They all stared at her. Lisa kept walking until she found the registration desk. Behind it sat a creature that looked like a giant insect made of crystal. Its many eyes focused on her as she approached. "Name," it said in a voice that sounded like breaking glass. "Lisa Carter. I'm here for the Galactic Defense Academy." The crystal being's eyes changed color from blue to red. It looked at its computer screen for a long time. "You are the human." "Yes, that's right." "Follow the blue line on the floor." "Report to Commander Vextar immediately." Lisa looked down and saw a glowing blue line that ran along the floor. She followed it through corridors filled with more strange beings. Some stopped their conversations to look at her. Others pointed and whispered in languages she couldn't understand. The blue line led her to a large office. Inside, a creature that looked like a giant lizard sat behind a desk. Its green scales covered muscles that could easily crush her. Yellow eyes studied her from head to toe. "So you are the first human to join our academy," Commander Vextar said. His voice was deep and rough. "I must admit, I am curious. Your species has only just discovered space travel. What makes you think you belong here?" Lisa stood up straight. "I passed all the tests, sir, same as everyone else." Commander Vextar made a sound that might have been laughter. "The tests were designed for advanced species. Perhaps the standards have dropped." He handed her a datapad. "These are your room assignment and class schedule. Try not to embarrass your entire species on your first day." Lisa took the datapad and left the office. She followed more glowing lines until she found her room. The door slid open to reveal a small space with 2 beds. One was already taken. Sitting on it was another crystal being, but this one was smaller and had sharp edges all over its body. "I am Kralix," it said without looking up from its own datapad. "I suppose you are my new roommate." "I'm Lisa. Nice to meet you." Kralix finally looked at her. Its crystalline face showed no emotion, but Lisa could sense disappointment. "I requested a proper roommate. Instead, they give me a primitive mammal." Lisa put her bag on the empty bed. "Well, we're stuck together now. Might as well make the best of it." "Make the best of it?" Kralix stood up and Lisa realized it was much taller than her. "Do you know what this academy is? Only the best warriors from the most advanced species train here. And they put a human in the Xenobiology Combat Division. It is like giving a sword to a child." Lisa unpacked her few belongings while Kralix continued talking. She had heard similar words before. During her testing on Earth, many people said humans weren't ready for this, but she had proven them wrong then, and she would prove them wrong now. The next morning, Lisa attended her first class. The classroom was huge, with seats designed for many different body types. She found one that fit her and sat down. Around her, dozens of alien beings filled the other seats. They all seemed to know each other already. The instructor was another lizard-like creature, but smaller than Commander Vextar. "Welcome to Advanced Combat Theory," it said. "Today we will discuss fighting techniques used by various species across the galaxy." For the next hour, Lisa listened as the instructor talked about combat methods that seemed impossible. Some species could become invisible, others could read minds, a few could even control gravity itself. "Now," the instructor said, "let us hear from our newest student, Human. Tell us about your species' combat abilities." All eyes turned to Lisa. She felt her face grow warm. "Well, humans are pretty good at using tools. We're also good at working together in groups." Several beings made sounds that she guessed were laughter. One creature that looked like a floating jellyfish spoke up. Tools? Even the most primitive species use tools. What else? Lisa thought for a moment. We're persistent. Once we decide to do something, we don't give up easily. More laughter filled the room. The instructor waved a clawed hand. Thank you for that enlightening contribution. Moving on. The rest of the class was just as bad. Every time Lisa tried to participate, someone would make a joke or ignore her completely. By the time class ended, she felt smaller than when she had arrived. Lunch was worse. The cafeteria served food from dozens of different worlds. Lisa found something that looked safe to eat and sat at an empty table. Within minutes, she was surrounded by other students. So this is the famous human, said a being made of swirling gas. I heard your species still fights with metal sticks. And they need to breathe oxygen, added another. How primitive. Kralix appeared at the table. You should see her try to use the shower controls. She stood there for 10 minutes pressing random buttons. Everyone laughed again. Lisa ate her food in silence and tried to ignore them, but their words hurt more than she wanted to admit. The afternoon brought physical training. In the gym, Lisa watched as her classmates demonstrated incredible abilities. Some could lift weights that would crush her. Others moved so fast they seemed to teleport. A few could even fly without any equipment. When her turn came, Lisa did her best. She ran as fast as she could, lifted what she was able to, and tried to keep up with the others. But compared to beings who had evolved for millions of years longer than humans, she looked slow and weak. Perhaps the human should try a different program, suggested the gym instructor. Maybe something more suited to her limitations. That evening, Lisa sat alone in her room while Kralix went to socialize with other students. She looked at her data pad and read about the courses she would take. Most of them seemed impossible for someone with her abilities, but one caught her attention. Xenobiology, the study of alien life forms. It was considered one of the hardest subjects at the academy. Students had to learn about thousands of different species, their behaviors, and how to work with them safely. Lisa had always been good with animals back on Earth. She grew up on a farm and helped take care of everything from chickens to horses. Her grandmother always said she had a gift for understanding what animals were thinking. Maybe that would help her here. She spent the rest of the evening reading about the xenobiology program. It was taught by Dr. Mordun, a veteran who had lost several limbs to dangerous creatures. The final exam involved working with an apex predator from somewhere in the galaxy. As Lisa read, she began to feel something she hadn't felt since arriving at the academy. Hope. The next few weeks followed the same pattern. Lisa struggled in her classes while her classmates excelled. She tried to make friends, but most beings saw her as a curiosity at best and a waste of space at worst. Even the instructors seemed to think she didn't belong. But Lisa kept studying. While others used advanced technology to learn, she relied on old-fashioned reading and note-taking. She watched everything carefully and wrote down what she observed about alien behavior and psychology. Slowly, she began to notice patterns that others missed. The way certain species moved when they were nervous. How some beings showed aggression differently than others. Small details that might be important later. One evening, as Lisa sat in the Academy's library studying, Kralix found her there. You are wasting your time, it said. No amount of reading will change what you are. Lisa looked up from her books. Maybe not, but I'm not giving up. Kralix's crystalline features shifted in what might have been confusion. Why do you stay? Everyone knows you will fail. Even the instructors are taking bets on when you will quit. Lisa closed her book and stood up. Because someone has to show them that humans belong here too, and if that someone is me, then I'll do whatever it takes. As she walked back to her room, Lisa didn't see the thoughtful look that crossed Kralix's face. She was too busy planning for tomorrow and all the tomorrows after that. 3 months had passed since Lisa arrived at the academy. She had gotten used to the daily mockery and the feeling of being an outsider. Her grades were below average, but she was still passing. More importantly, she had learned to watch and listen to everything around her. The biggest challenge was yet to come. Today, Dr. Morden would assign partners for the final exam of Apex Predator Management. This was the course that separated the elite students from everyone else. Only the best graduates would get positions working with dangerous alien life forms across the galaxy. Lisa sat in the back of the classroom as usual. Dr. Morden stood at the front, his scarred body telling the story of his experience. Where his left arm should have been, there was now a mechanical replacement. His right leg was also artificial, and burn marks covered half of his face. Today you learn which creature you will work with for your final examination, Dr. Morden said in his gravelly voice. Some of you will be lucky. Others will face the challenge of a lifetime. Remember, in 50 years of teaching this course, only 60% of students have passed. He began calling out names. Each student walked forward to receive a sealed data packet containing information about their assigned creature. Yimlos, Dr. Morden called, the floating gas being drifted forward and took its packet. After opening it, Yimlos made a pleased sound. Flame serpents, pack hunters but manageable with proper technique. Zarath. A tall blue being with 4 arms stepped forward. Crystal bears. Dangerous, but they respond well to telepathic commands. Krelix was called next. The crystal being opened its packet and nodded with satisfaction. Mountain crushers from the Vega system, powerful but predictable. One by one, students received their assignments. Most got creatures that were challenging but possible to handle. A few unlucky ones got assignments that made them look worried. Finally, only Lisa remained. Lisa Carter, Dr. Morden said. He handed her the last packet with what might have been sympathy in his remaining eye. Lisa opened the packet and felt her stomach drop. Inside was information about a void stalker from the Andromeda Spiral. She had read about these creatures in her studies. They were living nightmares that hunted in the emptiness of space itself. A void stalker, she whispered. The classroom erupted in shocked murmurs. Several students turned to stare at her with expressions ranging from pity to amusement. Is there a problem, Miss Carter? Dr. Morden asked. Lisa looked up from the packet. The void stalker was described as nearly impossible to control. It was a creature of pure killing instinct, evolved to hunt prey in the vacuum between stars. Its plasma claws could cut through starship hulls. Its hide was harder than most armor. And it had never been successfully commanded by any academy student. No, sir, Lisa said quietly. No problem. Kralix leaned over to look at her packet. Its crystalline features showed surprise, then something that might have been concern. Lisa, this cannot be correct. No student has ever been assigned a void stalker. Dr. Morden heard the comment. The assignments are final. Ms. Carter requested to be treated like any other student. She will receive the same opportunities and challenges as everyone else. After class, Lisa walked through the corridors in a daze. Other students whispered as she passed. Word was already spreading about her impossible assignment. In the cafeteria, the whispers became open conversation. Lisa sat at her usual empty table, trying to eat while groups of aliens discussed her situation at nearby tables. I heard she got a void stalker, said a reptilian being. Those things are pure death. The last student who tried to work with one ended up in the medical bay for 3 months, added another. Yimlos floated over to Lisa's table. I am sorry about your assignment, it said. Perhaps you should speak to Dr. Morden about switching to something more appropriate for your species. Lisa looked up from her food. What do you mean? Well, everyone knows that primitive species should start with easier creatures. Maybe a domesticated animal from your home planet would be better. The insult was delivered with false kindness, but it stung just the same. Lisa finished her meal in silence and left the cafeteria. She went straight to the Academy's research wing, where the apex predators were kept in special containment units. The facility was heavily guarded and designed to hold the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. A security guard at the entrance looked surprised to see her. You're the human student, right? You sure you want to go in there? I need to see. My assigned creature, Lisa said. The guard checked his list and nodded. Level 7, Section 12. But don't get too close to the containment field. That thing has killed more researchers than any other creature we keep here. Lisa took the elevator down to level 7. The corridors here were different from the rest of the academy. Thick metal walls, reinforced doors, and warning signs in dozens of languages covered every surface. She found Section 12 and stopped in front of a massive containment unit. Inside, behind layers of energy shields and reinforced barriers, was her Void Stalker. The creature was even more terrifying than the pictures in her packet. It stood nearly 3 meters tall on powerful legs that ended in razor-sharp claws. Its body was covered in black armor-like skin that seemed to absorb light. 6 arms ending in plasma claws moved with fluid grace. But it was the creature's eyes that made Lisa's breath catch in her throat. They were intelligent, cold and alien, but definitely intelligent. The Void Stalker noticed her watching and moved closer to the containment field. It studied her with the same intensity that she was studying it. For a moment, Predator and human looked at each other across the barrier. Then the creature turned away and retreated to the far corner of its containment unit. Lisa spent the next hour reading the information posted outside the containment area. The Void Stalker had been captured 3 years ago after it destroyed 2 research vessels. It had killed 7 handlers during its time at the Academy. No one had ever successfully established any kind of communication or control with it. Fascinating creature, isn't it? Lisa turned to see Dr. Mordoon approaching. His mechanical leg made soft clicking sounds as he walked. Dr. Mordoon, I was just studying my assignment. Of course you were. The old instructor moved to stand beside her. Do you know why I gave you this particular creature? Lisa thought about it. Because you want me to fail? Dr. Mordoon made a sound that might have been laughter. If I wanted you to fail, I would have simply failed you already. No, Ms. Carter. I gave you the Void Stalker because every other creature in our facility has been successfully handled by previous students using standard techniques. I don't understand. Your classmates will use advanced neural interfaces to control their creatures. They will rely on pheromone manipulation, fear responses, and technological dominance. These are all proven methods that work with most species. Dr. Mordoon paused. But not with that one. Lisa looked back at the Void Stalker. It was watching them again from its corner. Then how am I supposed to work with it? That, Dr. Mordoon said, is what you will have to figure out. You have 6 weeks until the final examination. I suggest you use them wisely. After the instructor left, Lisa remained in front of the containment unit. Other students would have access to the best equipment and technology. They would have advanced training programs and experienced tutors. All she had was herself and whatever she could learn by watching. Over the next few days, word of Lisa's assignment spread throughout the academy. Students began placing bets on how the final exam would go. Most bets were on whether she would quit before the test or be hospitalized during it. Kralik started a betting pool in their dormitory room. Current odds are 50 to 1 that she will not even attempt the examination, it announced to a group of visiting students. What about the odds that she actually succeeds? Asked Yimlos. The room fell silent for a moment, then erupted in laughter. There are no odds for impossible events, Kralix replied. Lisa listened to all of this from her bed, pretending to sleep. When the other students finally left, she got up and gathered her study materials. Where are you going? Kralix asked. To the library. It is past midnight. I know. Lisa spent that night and many others in the Academy's archives, reading everything she could find about Void Stalkers, but the information was limited and mostly focused on how dangerous they were, not how to work with them. What she did find were reports from Earth about humanity's relationship with predators throughout history. Stories of people who worked with wolves, big cats, and other dangerous animals. Most of these accounts were dismissed by galactic scientists as primitive folklore, but Lisa read them anyway. She also began visiting the Void Stalker every day. At first, she just stood outside its containment unit and observed. The creature seemed curious about her regular visits. It would approach the barrier when she arrived and retreat when she left. After a week of daily visits, something changed. The Void Stalker began responding to her presence differently. Instead of watching her with predatory interest, it seemed almost expectant. Other students occasionally came to see the impossible assignment. They would stand in groups, pointing and making jokes about Lisa's chances. The Void Stalker completely ignored these visitors. But when Lisa came alone, the creature paid attention. Lisa's approach to working with the Void Stalker became more focused as the weeks passed. While her classmates spent hours with expensive neural interface equipment and advanced training simulators, Lisa relied on something much simpler. She watched. Every morning after classes, she would go to level 7 and stand outside the creature's containment unit. At first, she just observed its basic movements and behavior patterns. The Void Stalker was active for roughly 16 hours each. They then would rest in what appeared to be a light sleep for 8 hours. During its active periods, the creature moved constantly. It would pace around the edges of its containment area, test the barriers with its claws, and perform what looked like hunting exercises. Lisa noticed that these movements weren't random. They followed patterns, like a ritual or routine. She began keeping detailed notes. The Void Stalker always started its day by examining each wall of its prison. It would move clockwise around the containment area, touching specific spots with its claws. After completing this circuit, it would move to the center and perform a series of stretching movements that reminded Lisa of a cat preparing to hunt. "Still wasting time with that thing?" Kralix asked one evening when Lisa returned to their room with her notebook full of observations. "I'm learning," Lisa replied, writing down her latest notes. "Learning what? How to get killed more efficiently?" Lisa looked up from her notebook. Over the past month, Kralix had become less openly hostile toward her. The crystal, being still, made jokes, but they seemed less cruel than before. "I'm learning that it's not just a mindless killer," Lisa said. "It has routines, preferences, things it likes and dislikes, just like any other intelligent creature." Kralix moved closer to look at Lisa's notebook. The pages were covered with drawings, time charts, and detailed observations written in Lisa's careful handwriting. "You draw pictures of it? Body language is important. See this?" Lisa pointed to a sketch of the Void Stalker with its head tilted to one side. "When it does this, it means it's curious about something. And this," she flipped to another drawing, "means it's agitated or frustrated. How can you possibly know what any of that means?" Lisa thought about how to explain it. "Back on Earth, I grew up around animals. Horses, dogs, cats, even wild animals that came near our farm. They all have ways of showing what they're feeling. You just have to learn to read the signs. But this is an alien predator from another galaxy. Surely its behaviors are completely different." "Maybe, but intelligence and emotion might work the same way regardless of where a creature comes from. At least that's what I'm hoping." As the days passed, Lisa's observations became more detailed. She noticed that the Void Stalker responded differently to various sounds. Loud noises made it aggressive, but certain quiet sounds seemed to calm it. The creature also reacted to movement patterns. Quick, jerky motions triggered its hunting instincts, while slow, steady movements were ignored. Most importantly, Lisa discovered that the Void Stalker was aware of her daily visits. When she arrived each day, the creature would stop whatever it was doing and look directly at her. Not with the cold, predatory stare it gave other visitors, but with what Lisa thought might be recognition. "It knows me," she told herself one afternoon. "It actually knows I'm here." Dr. Morden appeared beside her as if from nowhere. The old instructor had a habit of moving quietly despite his mechanical limbs. "Interesting observation," he said. "What makes you think it recognizes you?" Lisa pointed toward the containment unit. "Watch how it behaves when other people come down here." As if on cue, a group of maintenance workers entered the area. They were there to check the containment systems, something they did every few days. The Void Stalker immediately retreated to the far corner of its unit and turned its back to them, showing complete disinterest. "But when I arrive," Lisa continued, "it comes to the front and watches me. It's curious about me specifically." Dr. Morden studied the creature thoughtfully. "And what do you plan to do with this recognition?" "I'm not sure yet, but it's a start, right?" If it sees me as different from everyone else, maybe I can build on that. The instructor nodded slowly. Continue your observations. You may be onto something. 2 weeks before the final exam, Lisa decided to try something new. Instead of just standing outside the containment area, she sat down on the floor. The change in her posture had an immediate effect on the Void Stalker. The creature approached the barrier more closely than it ever had before. It crouched down as well, mirroring Lisa's position. For several minutes they sat facing each other through layers of energy shields and reinforced barriers. Lisa began to speak softly. She wasn't sure if the creature could understand words, but she thought it might respond to the tone of her voice. "Hello there," she said quietly. "I know you're probably wondering what I'm doing here every day. Everyone thinks I'm crazy for trying to work with you." The Void Stalker tilted its head to one side. The gesture Lisa had learned meant curiosity. "I'm supposed to command you somehow, but I don't think that's the right approach. You're not a machine or a slave. You're a predator just like humans used to be." She continued talking for almost an hour, telling the creature about Earth, about her family's farm, about the animals she had worked with back home. The Void Stalker listened, never moving from its crouched position. When Lisa finally stood to leave, something unexpected happened. The creature made a sound. It wasn't the aggressive growl or hiss that other students had reported. It was something softer, almost like a question. Lisa's heart raced with excitement. "Did you just try to talk to me?" The Void Stalker made the sound again, then slowly moved back to its usual spot in the center of the containment area. That night, Lisa could barely sleep. She had established some kind of communication with a creature that was supposed to be impossible to work with. It wasn't much, but it was more than anyone else had achieved. The next day, word spread quickly through the academy that Lisa had been heard talking to her assigned creature. Most students found this hilarious. "The human thinks she can have a conversation with a Void Stalker," Yimlos announced loudly in the cafeteria. "Perhaps next she will try to teach it mathematics." But not everyone was laughing. A few instructors began to take notice of Lisa's unconventional methods. Dr. Morden started making more frequent visits to Level 7, always appearing when Lisa was there. "Your approach is unprecedented," he told her one afternoon. "Most students focus on domination and control. You seem to be attempting something closer to communication." "Is that wrong?" Lisa asked. "Not wrong, just different, and potentially very dangerous. If you misjudge that creature's intentions, it could kill you the moment the barriers come down." Lisa looked at the Void Stalker, which was performing its daily stretching routine. "I don't think it wants to kill me. I think it's just frustrated and lonely." "Lonely?" Dr. Morden sounded surprised. "It's an apex predator from the void of space. Why would it experience loneliness?" "Because it's intelligent. And intelligent creatures need social contact even if they're predators. Back on Earth, even the most dangerous animals form bonds with others." Over the following days, Lisa expanded her daily sessions with the Void Stalker. She began bringing pictures from Earth, holding them up to show the creature. Photos of her family's farm, animals she had worked with, landscapes from her home planet. The Void Stalker showed clear interest in these images. It would move closer to the barrier and study each picture carefully. When Lisa showed it a photo of herself with a horse, the creature made that same soft questioning sound. "That's Thunder," Lisa explained. "He was mean and aggressive when we first got him. Everyone said he was dangerous and should be put down. But I spent time with him every day, just like I'm doing with you. Eventually, he learned to trust me." The creature listened to her stories with obvious attention. Lisa began to believe that it understood more than just the tone of her voice. Perhaps it was picking up on her emotions and intentions in ways that technology couldn't measure. 1 week before the final exam, Lisa made her boldest move yet. During her evening visit, she pressed her hand against the outermost barrier of the containment system. The energy field tingled against her palm, but it wasn't dangerous at this distance. The Void Stalker saw what she was doing and approached the barrier from its side. Slowly, carefully, it raised one of its massive claws and pressed it against the energy field directly opposite Lisa's hand. They couldn't touch through the multiple layers of protection, but the gesture was clear. The creature was trying to make contact with her. "I know," Lisa whispered. "I wish I could touch you too. But they have to keep you locked up because everyone's afraid of you." The Void Stalker made a series of soft sounds, almost like it was trying to have a conversation. Lisa found herself responding, creating a strange dialogue between human speech and alien vocalizations. A security guard who had been watching from the corridor approached them. "Miss, I don't think you should be doing that." Lisa reluctantly stepped back from the barrier. The Void Stalker also withdrew its claw, but it continued to watch her intently. "It's all right," Lisa told the guard. "We were just talking." The guard looked skeptical but didn't try to stop her from continuing her visit. The morning of the final examination arrived with great ceremony. Lisa woke before dawn, her stomach tight with nerves. Today would determine whether she belonged at the academy or if she would be sent home in failure. The testing arena was located in the deepest level of Station Omega-7. It was a massive circular chamber with reinforced walls designed to contain the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Viewing platforms surrounded the arena, allowing instructors and guests to watch the examinations safely. Lisa arrived early and found the arena already buzzing with activity. Technicians checked safety systems while academy staff prepared recording equipment. This was more than just a final exam. It was an event that would be studied and discussed for years to come. In the viewing areas, beings from across the galaxy had gathered to watch. Lisa recognized Admiral Zethkol, the commander of the Galactic Defense Force. Several other high-ranking military officials sat nearby. Even some members of the Galactic Council were present. "Quite an audience," Dr. Mordun said, appearing beside Lisa. "Word has spread about your unconventional approach. Many beings are curious to see if a human can succeed where others have failed." Lisa looked up at the crowded viewing platforms. "No pressure, right? Remember what you have learned. Trust your instincts. And most importantly, respect the creature you are working with." Other students began arriving with their families and supporters. Kralix entered with a group of crystal beings who looked like older versions of itself. Yimlos floated in surrounded by swirling gas clouds that must have been its relatives. Lisa stood alone. Her family was too far away to attend, and she had made no close friends at the academy. But she wasn't entirely without support. Several maintenance workers and security guards who had watched her daily visits to the Void Stalker gave her encouraging nods. Commander Vextar stepped into the center of the arena and called for attention. His powerful voice echoed through the chamber. "Today, 12 students will demonstrate their mastery of apex predator management. Each will work with one of the galaxy's most dangerous creatures in a controlled environment. Success means graduation and placement in elite positions across the Galactic Defense Force. Failure means remedial training or dismissal from the program." The first student was called forward. Zarath, the blue being with 4 arms, entered the arena as her assigned crystal bear was released from its transport container. The massive creature stood 3 meters tall and weighed over a ton. Its crystalline fur sparkled under the arena lights. Zarath activated her neural interface and approached the bear confidently. Using telepathic commands, she directed the creature through a series of increasingly complex maneuvers. The bear responded perfectly, following her mental instructions without hesitation. The audience applauded politely as Zarath completed her demonstration. It was a textbook example of proper predator management using advanced Zephyrian telepathic abilities. Next came Yimlos with a pack of flame serpents. The gas being used pheromone manipulation to control the snake-like creatures, making them weave through obstacle courses and perform coordinated attacks on training targets. One by one, students demonstrated their mastery. Each used the latest technology and proven techniques taught at the academy. Most succeeded, though a few had minor difficulties that would probably result in lower grades. Kralix performed exceptionally well with its mountain crusher. The massive rock-like creature responded to crystalline harmonic frequencies that only Kralix's species could produce. The demonstration was flawless. As the successful performances continued, Lisa felt her nervousness growing. Every other student had advanced technology to help them. Neural interfaces, pheromone dispensers, telepathic amplifiers, harmonic generators. Lisa had none of these things. All she had were her observations, her notebook full of sketches, and her hope that understanding could replace domination. Finally, her name was called. Lisa Carter, Commander Vextar announced. Final candidate. Assigned creature, Void Stalker from the Andromeda Spiral. The arena fell silent. Even the casual conversations in the viewing areas stopped. Everyone knew that this was the impossible assignment, the creature that no student had ever successfully worked with. Lisa walked to the center of the arena. The floor was marked with safety zones and emergency exits, but she knew that if something went wrong, there would be no time to reach them. Transport teams wheeled in a massive containment unit. Through its reinforced walls, Lisa could see the dark shape of the Void Stalker. The creature was pacing, clearly agitated by the change in environment. Candidate Carter, Commander Vextar said formally, you may use any approved equipment for this examination. Tables around the arena held neural interfaces, control devices, and weapons designed for emergency use. Other students had taken full advantage of these tools. I won't need any equipment, Lisa said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Shocked murmurs rippled through the viewing areas. Even Commander Vextar looked surprised. Are you certain? Working with an apex predator without technological assistance is extremely dangerous, I'm certain. Dr. Mordoon stepped forward. The candidate has chosen to attempt manual control without technological assistance. This is within the rules, though highly unusual. Lisa positioned herself about 10 meters from the containment unit. Around her, safety barriers rose from the floor, though they would provide limited protection if the Void Stalker decided to attack. Release the creature, Commander Vextar ordered. The containment unit opened with a hiss of escaping air. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Void Stalker emerged. In the bright lights of the arena, it looked even more terrifying than it had in its dark containment area. Its black armor-like skin seemed to absorb light. Plasma energy crackled around its 6 claws. When it moved, every muscle showed deadly power and grace. The audience held its breath. Several beings in the viewing areas moved back from the safety barriers as if even that distance wasn't enough. The Void Stalker looked around the arena, taking in the lights, the sounds, and the crowd of watchers. Its alien eyes showed no emotion that Lisa could read. This was a creature evolved to kill in the emptiness of space, and it was now surrounded by potential prey. Then it saw Lisa. The change in the creature's behavior was immediate and obvious. Its aggressive posture relaxed slightly. The plasma energy around its claws dimmed. Most importantly, it focused entirely on her, ignoring everything else in the arena. Lisa took a slow step forward. The movement was deliberate and calm, the same way she had approached nervous horses back on her family's farm. Hello, she said in the same quiet voice she had used during their daily conversations. I know this place is strange and scary, but you know me, don't you? The Void Stalker tilted its head to one side. Lisa recognized the gesture immediately. Curiosity, the same expression it had shown during their sessions in the containment area. She took another step forward, then another. The safety protocols required her to maintain at least 5 meters distance, but she was already closer than that. In the viewing areas, Admiral Zethkol leaned forward with interest. What is she doing? Something that has never been attempted before, Dr. Morden replied. Lisa was now only 3 meters from the Void Stalker. At this distance, the creature could kill her in less than a second if it chose to attack. But instead of aggression, the alien predator showed something that looked almost like recognition. I've been visiting you every day for weeks, Lisa continued, talking in her calm, steady voice. Sitting with you, talking to you, showing you pictures from my home. Do you remember? The Void Stalker made a soft sound. It was the same questioning vocalization Lisa had heard during their previous encounters. That's right, she said, taking another small step forward. You do remember. What happened next shocked everyone watching. The Void Stalker slowly lowered its massive body into a crouching position, the same posture it had adopted during Lisa's visits to the containment area. Lisa immediately crouched down as well, mirroring the creature's position just as she had done many times before. They faced each other across a distance of less than 2 meters. Predator and human, alien and earthborn, killer and farm girl. The arena was so quiet that Lisa could hear her own heartbeat. "Now comes the hard part," she whispered. "I need you to trust me enough to do what I ask. Not because you're forced to, but because you choose to." She slowly raised one hand, palm open, in the universal gesture of peaceful intent. The Void Stalker watched her carefully, its alien eyes studying her movement. Then, with deliberate slowness, the creature raised one of its massive claws and held it in a similar position, mirroring Lisa's gesture. The audience erupted in amazed whispers. No one had ever seen a Void Stalker voluntarily copy human behavior. "Incredible," Admiral Zethkol breathed. "She's actually communicating with it." Lisa smiled for the first time since entering the arena. "Good. Now let's show them what we can do together." She stood up slowly, and the Void Stalker rose with her. Without any technology, without any force or domination, she had achieved what every other student had thought impossible. The real test was just beginning, but Lisa felt a surge of confidence. The creature trusted her enough to follow her lead. Now she had to prove that trust was justified. "Ready?" she asked the Void Stalker. Lisa stood in the center of the arena with the Void Stalker watching her every movement. The creature had shown trust by mirroring her gestures, but now came the real challenge. She had to demonstrate actual cooperation and control without using any of the technological aids that other students relied on. Commander Vextar's voice echoed through the arena. "Candidate Carter, you must now guide your assigned creature through the standard examination sequence. First challenge, basic movement commands." Around the arena, holographic markers appeared, creating a simple path that the creature was supposed to follow. Other students had used neural interfaces or pheromone signals to direct their assigned animals along similar routes. Lisa looked at the glowing path, then at the Void Stalker. She couldn't simply point and expect the creature to understand what she wanted. She needed to communicate in a way that made sense to an alien predator. "We need to walk together," she said quietly. "Follow me and I'll show you where to go." She began walking toward the first marker, moving slowly and deliberately. The Void Stalker hesitated for a moment, then began following her. Its massive claws clicked against the arena floor as it moved with surprising grace. When Lisa reached the first marker, she stopped and turned to face the creature. "Good. Now we go to the next one." They continued along the path together, with Lisa leading and the Void Stalker following close behind. The audience watched in amazement as the supposedly uncontrollable creature calmly obeyed the human's guidance. "Remarkable," Admiral Zethkol commented from the viewing area. "She's not controlling it at all. They're moving together like partners." Dr. Mordun nodded. "This is unprecedented. Every other successful candidate has used some form of technological dominance, but she appears to have achieved genuine cooperation." When they completed the movement sequence, Commander Vextar announced the second challenge. Physical coordination test. The creature must demonstrate precise motor control under direction. Obstacle courses rose from the arena floor. Other students had guided their creatures through similar challenges using remote control systems and neural commands. Lisa looked at the complex arrangement of barriers, jumps, and narrow passages. "This one's harder," she told the Void Stalker. "I can't go with you through all of this. You'll have to trust me to guide you from here." She positioned herself at the edge of the obstacle course and pointed to the first barrier. The Void Stalker looked where she was pointing, then back at her. "That's right. Go over that wall, then through the narrow passage on the other side." The creature studied the obstacles for a moment, then began moving. It leaped over the first barrier with fluid grace, its powerful legs easily clearing the height. At the narrow passage, it compressed its body and slid through without difficulty. Lisa continued directing the creature through each obstacle, using simple gestures and spoken commands. The Void Stalker responded to her guidance, navigating the complex course with impressive skill. "How is this possible?" Yimlos whispered to Kralix in the viewing area. "Void Stalkers are supposed to be untrainable." "Perhaps," Kralix replied quietly. "We have been trying to train them incorrectly." When the Void Stalker completed the obstacle course, the audience burst into spontaneous applause. Even some of the instructors were clapping, clearly impressed by what they had witnessed. But the final challenge was yet to come, and Lisa knew it would be the hardest test of all. "Final examination phase," Commander Vextar announced. "Controlled aggression demonstration. The creature must show its natural hunting abilities while remaining under complete handler control." Training targets emerged from the arena floor. They were designed to simulate prey animals and enemy combatants. Other students had programmed their creatures to attack these targets with precise timing and controlled force. Lisa looked at the targets, then at the Void Stalker. This was the most dangerous part of the examination. She was asking a natural predator to use its killing instincts while trusting her to tell it when to stop. "I know this is what you were born to do," she said to the creature. "You're a hunter, and those targets represent prey, but I need you to only attack when I tell you to and stop when I say stop. Can you do that for me?" The Void Stalker made its soft, questioning sound, but Lisa could see a change in its posture. The predator instincts were awakening. Energy began, crackling around its plasma claws and its muscles tensed for action. "Wait," Lisa said firmly. "Not yet." The creature paused, its attention focused entirely on her despite the presence of potential targets nearby. Lisa took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine success or failure. Now, hunt. The transformation was breathtaking. The Void Stalker exploded into motion, moving with speed and grace that seemed impossible for something so large. It struck the first target with precise plasma claws, destroying it instantly. Then it spun and leaped toward the second target, covering the distance in a single bound. The audience watched in stunned silence as the creature demonstrated why Void Stalkers were considered apex predators. Every movement was perfect, every attack deadly accurate. It was a display of natural hunting ability that few beings had ever witnessed. But the real test came when Lisa called out, "Stop!" The Void Stalker froze instantly, its claws inches away from the final target. The creature's entire body was coiled for attack, plasma energy surrounding its weapons, but it held perfectly still. "Come back to me," Lisa said. The predator turned away from its intended prey and walked calmly back to Lisa's side. The deadly energy around its claws faded, and its aggressive posture relaxed. The arena erupted in thunderous applause. Beings from dozens of species stood and cheered, something that had never happened during a student examination. Admiral Zethkol rose from his seat and made his way down to the arena floor. Behind him came other high-ranking officials and academy instructors. "Extraordinary," the Admiral said as he approached Lisa. "In 40 years of military service, I have never seen anything like what you just accomplished." Commander Vextar stepped forward, his reptilian features showing clear amazement.
"Candidate Carter, you have not only passed this examination, you have redefined what we thought was possible in predator management." Dr. Mordoon joined the group gathering around Lisa. "Your methods challenge everything we teach about apex predator."
"Control. You achieved cooperation where we expected only domination." Lisa felt overwhelmed by the attention, but she noticed that the Void Stalker remained calmly at her side, despite being surrounded by so many beings. "I just treated it like an intelligent creature instead of a weapon," she said. Back on Earth, we learned that predators respond better to respect than to fear. Admiral Zethkol studied the Void Stalker, which showed no signs of aggression despite the crowd. "This creature has killed 7 handlers in the past 3 years, yet it responds to you as if you were its partner, rather than its controller." "Maybe that's because I never tried to control it," Lisa replied. "I tried to understand it instead." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Ms. Carter, the Galactic Defense Force has immediate need for someone with your unique abilities. I am offering you A position in our Deep Space Exploration Division, effective immediately upon graduation. The Deep Space Division? Lisa had heard of this elite unit. They were responsible for first contact with unknown species and exploration of uncharted regions where dangerous creatures were common. Your ship will be the GSV Horizon, Admiral Zethkol continued. You'll work with creatures and environments that no one has encountered before. Your ability to communicate with apex predators could be invaluable. Lisa looked at the Void Stalker, which had been listening to the conversation with obvious interest. What about my partner here? Your partner. If I'm going to work in deep space with dangerous creatures, I'll need someone who understands predators as well as I do, and this one has proven it can work with humans. Admiral Zethkol looked surprised. You want to take the Void Stalker with you? If it's willing to come. Lisa turned to the creature and spoke in the same quiet voice she had used throughout their time together. How would you like to see what's out there beyond the stars? Real hunting, real challenges, working together to explore places no one has been before. The Void Stalker made a series of soft sounds that Lisa had learned to interpret as excitement and agreement. Then it did something that made everyone step back in amazement. The massive predator gently lowered its head and touched Lisa's shoulder with the side of its face. It was a gesture of affection and acceptance that no Void Stalker had ever shown to any being. I think that's a yes, Lisa said with a smile. Commander Vexitar approached her with something that might have been an apology in his eyes. Ms. Carter, I owe you an apology. When you first arrived, I doubted that humans belonged at this academy. You have proven me wrong in the most spectacular way possible. Thank you, sir. You have also taught us something important about the nature of intelligence and cooperation. We will be studying your methods for years to come. Kralix made its way through the crowd to reach Lisa. The crystal being that had once mocked her, daily now looked at her with obvious respect. I was wrong about you, Kralix said simply. I thought primitive meant inferior, but you have shown abilities that our advanced technology cannot replicate.